Hi folks, China Guitar Skeptic back, finally, with Greeny Moore. Yes, she looks a bit sorry for herself at the moment. Earlier on today, I videoed and did all of the cavity shielding to create a Faraday cage around the entire inside of the guitar. The switch socket cavity, the pickup cavities, and of course obviously the switch cavity, and the control cavity right out into the jack socket as well. So I will give you a fast forward of that in a minute, but also what I promised to do and what needs to be done before we can string her up and try her out is the fret leveling. So I just thought I'd give you a quick repeat of my previous fret leveling demo, for which it's good if you can have a proper fret rocker to check the high and low frets. You'll need masking tape to protect the fretboard. You will need a Stanley knife to cut out the frets from the masking tape. And the poor man's way to do this, you'll need some rough sandpaper and a block. I use a 9-volt battery to wrap it around in order to rub down the frets. You will then need some very, very fine sandpaper, but you will need only the tiniest little bit to go over the end of a crosshead screwdriver in order to just put the finish crowning back on the frets. I know it makes a lot of people cringe, but the idea is that this is the frugal way of doing things. So folks, I've just literally got a couple of frets to finish cutting out, so I'll give you a close-up on that and how I do that, and then close up on the fret leveling procedure, and then a quick fast forward through the shielding process so that you know what's been done, and then hopefully we'll be able to hear Greeny Moore. Okay, so here we got a close up on the frets. I've prepared most of them, and as you can see I've marked where they're high, and all I've done is just put masking tape on, and then we run a Stanley knife either side of the frets and then across either end of the frets, just to peel back that masking from the fret end, allowing us to access the frets in order to get the rocker on them and the level. You'll notice I'm angling the blade very, very steeply into the fret so as not to damage the fretboard underneath, fingerboard underneath. So there we go. Now this one shouldn't need any, it's only that I need to expose it in order to get the fret rocker on. Now, the way to find out if you've got high or low frets is to take your fret rocker, and you need to bridge 3 frets at a time, and then you rock. If it will rock, then the chances are, like here, you have got a high fret. Now that fret stays high up till about that point, but looking here, you see we've got a high point on the adjacent fret. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to carefully take this sanding block and just take a little bit off at that point of that fret and check again. Oh. Still got a little bit of a touch of a high spot there, so we'll just take that off again a little bit more and check it again. Yep, still a touch more to come off. And the thing with this is to do it in very gradual bits. It's no good diving in and taking off loads because you can't put it back and then you have to shave down the frets adjacent. So that now feels just right. So what we'll do, just so that I can give you a demonstration, is we will wrap the head of this Phillips screwdriver and then we'll get it in the groove of the Phillips head like that, and then just use this very, very fine grade sandpaper just to finish out the fret again, using the groove of the screwdriver to put the shape of the crown back on. Oh, that didn't work so brilliantly. Okay, there we are. And that's it, just nicely crowned up. And all ready for a final polish. So I'll just check that fret for level again, and it's fine. No rocking anywhere on that fret. However, fret next to it has got a bit of a rocking issue. So I'll get on and do the rest of these frets while you go and watch the sped up version of the shielding demo. Okay, so now we've leveled all these frets, and now all that remains to be done is to take off the masking tape that protected the fretboard. I've given them a good polish up with the 4000 grade sandpaper. Let's get all of these bits of masking tape off. And one last little polish of the frets. Go all the way along the fingerboard, the fretboard. Hope you enjoyed the demo of the shielding. But there we are, all of the frets now cleaned up, leveled, and she's ready to have strings back on her. So I'll do that and we'll have a little listen, see how she sounds. Be back in a moment. Okay, she's all strung up, a little bit like me, and she sounds nice, really nice. I'm going to start with the middle position, the Peter Green modded position, because it's the quietest. Let's see what you think. Now, one thing you'll notice is that the mod makes it very quiet, but even if I switch over to either of the other pickups and I put on the crunch sound, provided I don't let the strings make a noise, you'll notice that the shielding work means that you don't get that whole earth thing when you touch it. You don't get any difference between when you're not touching it and when you are. So anyway, there's that. That was the Peter Green sound. That really sort of nasally type. The sustain on this is really nice. This is the clean sound of the bridge pickup. And then finally the neck pickup. Lovely sustain on this guitar, I have to say. Cool. Might be a little bit of fret buzz there still. Could have been in setting up the bridge, which incidentally I did as well, just while I was putting the strings on. There's the aluminium tailpiece, the new ABR conversion bridge to the little... I expect you're all dying to see what the crunch sound is like. So we'll start with my favourite pickup for crunching lead. Nice little sound. The Peter Green. finally, the bridge position. Take care, enjoy, rock on, and lots of good rocking.